Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today as we talk about the Mount Angel Vitamins Heart Health Supplements. We really appreciate you taking time out of your morning, or I guess it could be your afternoon if you're on the East Coast, so we really appreciate that. Just a few housekeeping items before we get going. My name is Catherine Douglas, and I'm the Marketing Director, and we'll also be joined today by John Mills, who is our Director of Quality and Compliance, and he's the formulator behind all of these products, and he is the one who will really delve into all the details. So I'll just go through the housekeeping items and introduction. So just to let you know, we are recording this webinar today, and so we will post it to our YouTube channel. Which, if you've never been to our YouTube channel, it has all of the recordings from all of our past webinars. So as we continue to populate that YouTube channel, you'll be able to watch a number of different webinars about all of our products. You'll also receive a follow-up email with the link to the recording, which you can watch at your convenience if you need to be reminded of any of the details that we talk about today. Also, just a little note on scheduling. We'll plan to do these on the second week of every month, and I will give you the details on the next one toward the end of the webinar, but just want to let you know that this is a regular occurrence. And also, if you are a retailer and you would like us to tailor one of these webinars to your store, it's for any of the Mount Angel vitamins or any of the Highland Laboratories private label products that you carry, please let us know that. We're always happy to do that at any time that is convenient for you or your team. Also, we will have a Q&A at the end. So on the right hand of your screen in the toolbar, there is a questions box where you can type your questions in. So please do that, and we will answer them in the order that they are received at the end of the webinar. And also there are a couple of handouts available. So just under the questions box, there's a handouts box. You can get some PDF files there, which will have, I think it's just the product cards today for some of the products that we're showing. So you can download those and print those or save them to your computer and use them as you need. Okay, so let's jump in. That's basically exactly what I just said, so we'll skip this one. And then just to let you know, we are doing heart health because the American Heart Association has Heart Month in February, and their goal is to raise awareness for cardiovascular issues in the United States. You probably all have heard of that Heart Awareness Month, so no surprises there, but you know, we do want to let you know that heart disease, it is the #1 cause of death in the world, and it's the leading cause of death in the US. It's a really prominent thing that happens in our society and to our bodies, and so also just letting you know that heart supplements are often targeted at men, but heart disease is also the #1 killer of women, unfortunately, as well. So it takes more lives than all other forms of cancer combined. So not to start off your day on a bad note, but heart health is really important. And you know, the key is obviously maintaining a healthy lifestyle, not smoking, getting enough physical activity, having a healthy diet, all of those types of things. So, you know, just letting you know, the key takeaway is that a healthy lifestyle will go a long way in maintaining your heart health, but that the supplements that we are presenting today could help. So these are not a stopgap for any lifestyle changes. They are just there to supplement an already healthy lifestyle. And this is just an interesting thing that we saw earlier this week, that it's not just about CoQ10 or niacin. A recent Harvard study showed that long-term multivitamin use, and we're talking 20+ years, but that it led to a 44% reduction in cardiovascular events. So that's pretty interesting to read, and just, you know, again, multivitamins are part of a balanced, healthy lifestyle. They're never a substitute for poor habits, you know, as far as eating or exercise. But, you know, the fact that these supplements generated this result in a study is pretty exciting. So, so with that, I will pass it over to John Mills. Again, he's our Director of Quality and Compliance, and he's going to review our heart support supplements in detail. John?
Hi, good morning. Just a continued comment on the multivitamin study. It's really indicative of a poor state of nutrition in our society today, especially in the North American continent, and what's becoming more prevalent than worldwide with the fast food applications, and all. There's just not enough nutrition, not enough appropriate nutrition in those particular components, and that comes from a long history of an over-focus on the overall, the gross or the large components of nutrition, meaning carbohydrates, fat, protein, and without much consideration to the basic nutritional components of what feeds the enzymes in the body. And that's part of what we're going to be talking about today as we go through the various aspects of what feeds our bodies. So we're going to start with CoQ10 alpha lipoic acid. CoQ10 is the very basic component for energy applications within the body. It is absolutely essential to the total body health, especially so in the mitochondrial portion of each cell. All of our cells are composed of two sets of genetic materials. We have our regular nucleic acid set of DNA, and that particular portion controls what goes on inside the cell. The mitochondrial DNA is a cell within the cell. The mitochondria itself is the energy house for the body. That's the energy house for that cell, and consequently fills the whole body with energy, but it all originates in the mitochondria. The idea behind feeding the mitochondria is what is essential to creating the proper energy load for the heart. The highest load of CoQ10 in the body is found in the heart, and the second highest is found in the liver. So when you are trying to work with your heart health and trying to maintain appropriate heart function, it is absolutely essential to supplement with CoQ10. It should be classified as a vitamin, and it is a vitamin in how it acts in the body as far as the mitochondrial support structure goes, but it's a part of a cascade of things. So CoQ10 in and of itself is absolutely essential, but CoQ10 is fed by selenium, it's fed by vitamin E, it's fed by vitamin C. There's a whole cascade sequence of these vitamins which then regenerate and re-energize the CoQ10 molecule in the heart. So it's absolutely essential. Now, you can't get this in any kind of a plant source. It's not found in plants to any great resource. It is an animal-based material. So if you are interested in supplementing CoQ10, you're going to have to supplement. You can't get it from a diet unless you're willing to eat heart muscle or you're willing to eat liver. Those are the only two natural food sources that are available for CoQ10. Really, the idea behind the daily requirements of being about 100 milligrams to 300 milligrams, most studies today are pushing that higher into the 200 to 250 milligram range. And all those came out of studies that occurred in Texas a number of years ago, 20 to 30 years ago now, where they found that by supplementing with CoQ10, they were able to reduce the total requirements for or total issues associated with heart dysfunction in a very specific population of people. So just as an anecdotal type of an application of this, my dad went through a heart insufficiency issue about 10 years ago now, and in process of helping him out, I recommended to him that he start taking CoQ10 very aggressively. And I'm very pleased to say today that his heart insufficiency recovered. Now, that was a total process for him of proper diet, exercise, and then proper supplementation. So, and his supplementation was not exclusive to CoQ10. It included a variety of nutrients that were not normal to his diet. So, and that's the whole key, is that supplements are meant to be supplementary. That's why they call them supplements, right? So, supplementary to the diet that you're currently engaging in. So, they're never a substitute for the diet. They're always in an adjunct to the diet. Now, the problem with CoQ10 is that there's usually a solubility issue. Solubility meaning the ability for the body to absorb it because it's not normally soluble. This is a fat-soluble vitamin, and so it has to have fats around it in order for it to be absorbed appropriately. Well, that's why we include lecithin in this particular component. Lecithin is a very unique material. It acts as a solubilizer for fat materials and also some water-soluble materials. And we included it with this particular product in order to increase the absorbability of the CoQ10 at the intestinal level. Okay. Niacin is another component which has some very interesting properties, especially associated with good HDL, supporting your good HDL component. It doesn't seem to impact the LDLs, the low density, or what they call the bad cholesterol, the low density low density cholesterols, but it does seem to appear to support the HDL, the high density cholesterols. So the idea behind using niacin, this particular product is designed for individuals who do not like the flushing characteristics of the full-blown niacin. And normally you would want to take somewhere on the order of about 500 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams of the flushing type of niacin. This particular material is designed using niacin hexanicotinate, which is an inositol molecule which has the 6 niacin molecules attached to it. Those 6 niacin molecules come off differentially, so that means then that as the enzymes in your body are working at cleaving off those niacins, they're not coming off at the same rate. The first 2 or 3 come off fairly easily, and then the rest of them come off a lot slower. So when you're looking at using something like the inositol hexanicotinate, you need to be using at least 4 of these capsules in order to attain a nice profile or a nice response then for your body. But what's really nice about this is that you don't experience the flushing issues. This material comes off at a slow enough pace in the liver typically, or in the intestinal tract, that it doesn't create that flushing experience. So this is nice as far as that aspect of it goes. The unfortunate side of it is if you can't tolerate the flush, well, the good side is if you can't tolerate the flushing, then this is a good way to go. If you can't tolerate the flushing, really the flushing niacin is probably the better approach to this. And this then takes us into fish oils. One of the most important things, and one of the few materials in the market today that actually has an FDA approval for a claim on it, is fish oil. And there is supportive evidence showing that if you are to consume EPA and DHA from fish oils, that there is a risk or a reduction in the associated risk for coronary heart disease. Now that is an FDA statement, as you can see on the left-hand side of the slide. That statement is verbatim from FDA's website. So once again, this is one of the very few materials out there for which FDA has actually authorized a statement indicating benefit for the individual. Now, 2 of our soft gels combined, each soft gel is about 1,000 milligrams of fish oil, so the recommended serving size is 2,000 milligrams, 2 fish oils daily, and that yields then 600 total omega-3 fatty acids. That's a real nice number, and it works very nicely. In fact, when I do recommend taking fish oil, I also suggest that an individual would take their CoQ10 concurrently with the fish oil, because the CoQ10 will actually be increased in solubility, will increase in uptake in conjunction with the fish oil. Now, the fish oil itself has a wonderful mechanism for its own absorption process through the intestinal wall, so you don't have to worry too much about trying to solubilize fish oil. It's already ready to go for you, and the bioavailability of it is very high. Your body targets EPA and DHA for applications within the body. It understands what those components are and absorbs them directly. Our product it comes from a very clean fishery. It's out of the South Pacific, specifically off the coast of Peru and Chile, which is that really cold South Pacific Current and upwelling there. It is a real nice product as far as it being very clean. There's not a lot of pollution, contamination down in that area to begin with, but then this particular fish oil is molecularly distilled to remove any other potential contaminants to it, and we assay it in facility for mercury to assure that, and we send out for assay on the the PCBs for that one. So the bisphenol chlorinates, those particular materials which are so prevalent in North America, especially right now in the Portland area with the Superfund site that's been designated there for PCB cleanup. So this particular product, our marine fish oils, very clean, very nice, very clear, and we assure that the material itself is appropriate to what we want to do in sales of this product. I spoke earlier about this cascading sequence of events to regenerate CoQ10 in the mitochondrial cells. Part of the process our body uses to perform those kinds of functions are enzymes. And enzymes are absolutely essential for all physical activity within the body. When your heart contracts, there are certain things that occur for that to happen. There's a shunt that exchanges two minerals for that action to occur, for that pumping action to occur. If your heart's damaged, there are enzymes that are trying to repair that damage. If you are engaged in physical activity, there are enzymes which are then trying to rebuild the body. As you're digesting foods, there are enzymes that are trying to digest, to break down those components to maximize your nutrition. Enzymes are proteins that do something in the body. Enzymes are proteins that have a physical activity other than contracting a muscle or some physical activity. They do things. They rebuild hormones. They build hormones. They digest foods. They do all those things. Enzymes are absolutely essential for our life. There are cofactors for enzymes. We talk about vitamins being cofactors all the time. Vitamins being vitamin B3, niacin, vitamin B1, thiamine. Folic acid is a cofactor for the energy cycle in the body. So all of these different vitamins have activity in enzymatic activity in their own applications. Minerals have something similar to that. Calcium is for bone. Magnesium we think of as being for nerves. But magnesium is the second most required mineral for enzymatic activity in the body. Zinc is the most required. And as you look at our label copy on this, we have both zinc and magnesium there at 100% of the RDA values. So this particular product is designed specifically for supporting the neural response, cardiovascular, the arterial wall, the vascular walls. Is designed around enzymatic support in the body. It's designed around that whole application. And what was really nice about this particular product, and this is one of those products that I personally use for the neurological calming side of things, is this product is a effervescent powder. So in the evenings when I'm getting ready for bed, I'll take a scoop of this powder and put it into a small glass, add about 6 fluid ounces of water, and allow it to effervesce for a short time, stir it up, and then I'm ready to drink it at that point. And I drink, and it's a berry flavor, so it's just a very pleasant material. It's a really nice product for supporting the neurological side of your physiology. But it is also a nice product just to support cardiovascular, since magnesium does impact the vascular system and how and how those arterial walls relax and contract. It does affect that. Their magnesium and calcium are balanced against each other in a neural, or not a neural, but rather a muscular contraction process, just as potassium and sodium are balanced against each other. So this particular product is very nice, great flavor, and then it's also one of those products which is very supportive of your total enzymatic system. Okay. So are there questions?
Thanks, John. We do have a couple of questions. One is, I've heard that ubiquinol is better than ubiquinone. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Which form is in the Mount Angel vitamin and why?
Let's go back up to that slide. There we go. We currently use ubiquinol, or ubiquinone, rather, excuse me, ubiquinone, in our particular product. The reason why, and this is something that I was concerned about, because when the studies came out about ubiquinol, there was a real push towards saying that it was more soluble and more bioavailable than ubiquinone. And so I said, okay, let's take a look at this and see what's going on. And so when I went in to do the research on this, one of the biggest things I discovered, which was kind of startling to me, was the fact that in stomach acid, ubiquinol is turned into ubiquinone. So there's no advantage to taking a standard ubiquinol material unless you're going to enteric coat it to push it past the past the stomach and into the intestinal system. And I don't know of any that are enteric coated in the marketplace today. So so when we did, we just went ahead and used one of the highest quality. It's the Japanese company material, ubiquinone. That was one of the first ones on the market, high purity, microbial fermentation process materials for our CoQ10. Was there another question?
There is. Sorry, just getting down to the slide, looking at some of the information here. Let's see. Hold on. Sorry. What should you, I think you talked about this a little bit, but what should you eat when you take CoQ10 to help with the uptake? You mentioned some fatty foods, some olive oil, that sort of thing. But could you get into a little bit more detail about that?
Yeah, very good. Yes, any type of an oil component will help in the absorption of CoQ10. So if you're using fish oils like in our soft gels, that's a wonderful complement to that. If you use coconut oil in preparing your breakfast, that's wonderful too. I normally recommend taking CoQ10 at the start of the day as opposed to at the end of the day, just because your stomach goes to sleep at night when you go to sleep. So it's really better if you're taking it in the morning when you're a little more active, because that way the stomach is doing its thing and mashing up stuff and pushing it on into the intestinal tract. But the idea then is to take either coconut oil or olive oil. If you eat eggs, then fry your eggs in coconut oil. That's a wonderful complement. And then take your supplements and have your breakfast. That's the best way to absorb CoQ10. The only other way you could do it even more effectively would be under doctor's guidance through intravenous type stuff, and that's not normally fun.
It doesn't sound like it. We don't have any other questions, but I did want to bring up something that you and I had talked about offline, which was the idea that you should start taking CoQ10 as a 30-year-old as opposed to waiting. Could you delve into that in a little bit more detail for the audience?
Yeah, by all means. When an individual, the way the human body is designed and how we have been created, whether or not you believe in a deity creation or if you believe in evolution, our bodies have been created over time. So we have this very specific physiology that occurs for all of us, and usually, and I'm going to talk in men, that usually occurs, the maximum of that usually occurs, the best years of your life, so to speak, are usually by time you've hit about 30 years old. So the male usually maximizes his physiology capabilities somewhere in the neighborhood of around 24 to 28 to 30 years old, somewhere like that. And then it's all downhill from there. I know this, I'm almost twice that age now, but they're just kind of like holding on, and it's just slowly declining over time. Now, unfortunately, women reach that peak a little bit sooner than what guys do, and then they slowly decline along with it. In the same physiological manner what guys do. But really, it's about 30 years old is when you stop maximizing in the body. The body stops building up at that point, and now the body's either holding its own and hanging on, or starting to decline, and that's just normal physiology. Normally, I recommend that if you have an excellent diet, that you should probably start supplementing briefly, just at the very lowest levels, when you're about 30 years old. Because what happens then is that you establish a nutritional level and load for your body that is maintained then throughout the rest of your life. And that maintenance process helps you to keep your body at its maximum operating capability. As soon as you stop doing those things, that's when your body starts to decline. And you can see this in some of the older cultures, the primitive cultures, and where the elders are given the prime foods associated with the hunt or whatever. So the elders who accompany the hunt, they would eat the heart and the liver of the animal, sort of a thing, and so they would maintain that energy level. And you would see these primitive cultures where the older individuals live into their 80s and 90s. Whereas in our modern cultures, where the elders are when I say modern, I actually mean Western cultures, where the elders are not cared for in quite the same way as what in the primitive cultures they are, then you see that decline begins earlier. And we have in the Western European tradition only recently moved up out of the 60-year-old category, where if you were 60 years old, you're at the twilight. Now, with the supplemental nutritions that we're able to do, and we're able to exercise better health care, then we're able to see the same benefits of what some of these primitive cultures have been experiencing, with our elders now living to be 80 and 90 years old. And so that's the positive benefit there. But it's because of proper nutrition in this process. Well, the more we remove ourselves from the earth, closer to the earth, meaning that our foods are fresher and more organic and more nutrient rich, and we start moving to more processed foods, the more processed foods you put yourself into, the nutrient poorer they are. And so we find ourselves, that's the Western diet, and we want to move back to that more primitive diet of fresher and cleaner foods. But if you can't get that far because of where you're located or your food sources, then you definitely need to start supplementing to help yourself along with that. And as you noted earlier in that Harvard study, long-term supplementation is what's critical. So if you for myself anyway, I've been taking supplements now for 25 years or so, and I'm 60 years old. I'll be 60 years old this year. I've reached a point now where if I were to start today, I'm not going to see the benefits really for those supplements at their full maximum benefit until I'm in my 80s. So really the idea then is if you start at 30, if you start at 40 even, you're starting at a point where you can see the benefit and the maximum capability of those vitamin supplements in your body by the time you reach that 20-year period at 60 or so. So the earlier you start, the better off you're going to be in doing these supplementations.
That's an excellent point. And I also don't have any more questions, but I do have one more comment I want to make before we wrap this up, which is the idea that you often think of heart health as a men's issue, but that it is equally important for women. So can you talk briefly about that before we wrap up as well?
Oh yeah, by all means. I meant to bring that up and I completely forgot about it. I apologize. Today's society, and this all comes back to our societies today. Today's society is so hard on the individual, and it doesn't make any difference if it's male or female. It's very hard on the individual. But what has become more prevalent today is with the equal rights applications of what's going on, and believe me, I am a firm believer in treating the individual as an individual and not as male or female. But unfortunately, part of that whole thing is that women have had to fight harder over time to attain the same as what men have been granted. Okay, so the issue with that is that the women have neglected themselves even more, and in order to succeed. And that unfortunate side event of that is that they tend to be under more stress now. They have entered into the previously male realm of poor diet and poor health and poor applications to their bodies and beating themselves up physically just to get ahead. That has created a reduced lifespan in some women's groups. So you have the individuals who are the executives and the like, the A-type personalities. Well, their A-type personalities affecting them just as bad as it has the males all along. And you're finding that women, because of that neglect, personal neglect in their life, are starting to experience a much higher incidence of heart disease because of the stress loads. Stress is probably the single largest reason for heart disease today. So the more stress you're under, the more likely you are to have cardiovascular events, the more likely you are to have hardening of the arteries, all of that. So everything, it centers around trying to do stress reduction, and so the individuals who are able to engage in that stress reduction, and I highly recommend that for both men and women, tend to have more fulfilling lives and are happier and have fewer issues. So, but the main point though is that women, because they've accepted this challenge of trying to succeed more in today's society, have subjected themselves, I think unintentionally, to higher stress levels, higher challenges, bigger physical challenges, everything down the road. And unfortunately, because of that, it's decreased their lifespan slightly and made men and women more equal as far as physiologically.
Yes, the modern era is definitely can be quite stressful, so it is really important to take time for yourself and unplug and relax and just holistic, balanced lifestyle. Okay, well, with that, we will just wrap this up. We have a little bit of information to go over. If you're looking for sales contacts for Mount Angel Vitamins or for Highland Laboratories private label, for that matter, these are your contacts here. You can also go to our website, mountainangelvitamins.com. There's all of our products are listed there, all of the SFBs and product information. We have a blog where we delve into our products in detail. There's quite a lot of content there, and you can also find our contact details if you just need to reach out to us generally with a question. We're also on social media, so there's a number of platforms that Mount Angel Vitamins and Highland Laboratories are on. So please join us there. And then also our next webinar on February 16th will be on sleep support. So the idea that not too long after that we'll be having a time change, and so just working backward from that and trying to mitigate some of those things, and just general, again, lifestyle and the amount of sleep that people get these days. That's another big area of concern in addition to heart. So we're excited to delve into that as well. So again, thank you very much for being part of our day and joining us. And if you have any questions, you'll always feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to help, happy to answer any questions, happy to do a customized webinar if you would like. So thank you and have a great day.